that one wanted that. That is a nice fish. When it comes to topwater fishing, one of the things that has really helped me out is understanding the importance of water temperature. Now, if you're watching this video, then you probably watch other YouTube fishing videos, and you know that every month anglers like to share their top baits for the month. But in those videos, if they don't mention regional water temperatures, then you are being misled, unless you live near them. Because, well, this is what March looks like in Minnesota. Our lakes are still frozen, so I literally can't use any of the recommended March baits. My point is that topwater fishing is often associated with a season or a month, but a fish doesn't have a calendar. Instead, what a fish does have are water temperatures. Now, when it comes to scientific research, we have data about water temperatures in terms of fish reproduction, growth rates, survival rates, physiological effects, and ecological effects, but we know very little about performance. But with that said, we do have years of anecdotal evidence by anglers. Now, if we were to take the experiences of anglers and throw them all together, we would end up with a wide range of opinions. So in this video, one of the things I'm hoping to do is help us make sense of some of those opinions and show why there's such a wide range of opinions. Now, the reason I prioritize water temperatures is because water temperatures will largely signal to a fish to start its spawning cycle or that winter is coming. Now, the problem arises when we generalize spawning cycles because regions have different water temperatures throughout the year, which affects when a fish will begin to spawn or when winter is coming. In this image here, we have 4 lakes across the country that show the average monthly water temperatures for each lake. Here are the warmest monthly averages for each lake, and here are the coldest. Also, here's what the month of March looks like for each lake. As you can see, temperature averages are quite different. For example, Lake Okeechobee's lowest monthly average is higher than Lake Mille Lac's highest monthly average. Also, even while Smith Mountain Lake and Lake Okeechobee are close in their warmest average month, they are very far apart when it comes to their coldest monthly average. Also, based on this chart, we can see different spawning times of the year based on water temperatures. My main point is that water temperature is the most important factor. As we saw, different months in different regions can have very diverse water temperature ranges. That's why it is important to lock in on your local water temperatures for the spring, summer, fall, and winter, because that's what's going to tell you what your fish are doing. In the springtime, temperatures are on the rise, fish are moving from their wintering holes and becoming more active. This is called the pre-spawn. Depending on your region and the species that you're targeting, understanding water temperatures will help give you an idea of the spawning stage your species might be in. Now in the spring, as soon as the water is warm enough for fish to leave their wintering holes, you can catch them on all sizes of the Whopper Plopper as well as different retrieve speeds. During this time, bass are actively feeding to build up energy for the spawn, so I'm really looking for bait fish and grass or other signs of life. I found that sunnier days, warmer water, which is often dirty, and shallow areas are where I get bit the most. When I find these areas and I begin picking it apart, I will start with a slow, straight retrieve. The next stage will be the spawn. If you're fishing for spawning bass, then you know that they'll be building their nests and hatching eggs, so during this time they are protecting their nests from a range of threats. In my experience, the Whopper Plopper is often overlooked in these situations, and I found that the sound of the Whopper Plopper really seems to agitate an already aggressive bass. But of course, they might not be willing to chase the straight retrieve in these situations, and they might just be slapping at the bait. If this is happening, I will downsize the Whopper Plopper because the hooks are closer together, and I will convert the Whopper Plopper into a popper and fish it slower. After the spawn, bass in particular will leave their nests for the post-spawn, which will continue into the summer. Now, generally, this is the toughest time to pattern fish, and usually after the spawn, the bigger females retrieve to recover, so locating big fish can be challenging, but smaller males can be caught on the nest guarding the fry. So something that has helped me is searching areas where fish spawned early. If you can locate these, then you might be able to get on a summer pattern earlier. In the summer, most fish are finished spawning and temperatures are rising, so fish are moving to cooler water. During these months, topwater has a reputation of becoming a distinctly low-light bait. Whether it's sunrise, sunset, or an overcast day, you're going to find fish everywhere, and this can be a fun time to power fish, cover a lot of water, and run into some fired up fish. But with that said, I encourage you to resist the temptation to fish the Whopper Plopper only in low light conditions. Like I said, summertime fish are looking for cooler water. Sometimes that means deep water, sometimes it doesn't. When I'm in the shallows and looking for cool water, I like to start with shade. Fish will hang out even in some of the smallest amounts of shade. And I'm also looking for heavy cover, docks, matted vegetation, large overhangs, something that I can run the Whopper Plopper under or alongside. Now, for those who are going to be spending most of your time out in the middle of the lake searching for those deep fish, don't forget the Whopper Plopper is a megaphone that can be used to call up some of those deep fish. When I'm doing this tactic, I like to use the 190 as it puts off the loudest sound and vibrations. As the summer days cool down and the fall transition begins, water temperatures and water levels typically drop. In the fall, bass can be difficult to locate at times as they're on the move chasing bait. For this reason, the Whopper Plopper is great for fall topwater fishing as it can help you locate fish quickly and get you some nice reaction strikes. Like I said, in the fall, water levels typically decline, and if your body of water is experiencing a drawdown, I found a lot of success casting my Whopper Plopper extremely close to the bank where fish are pinning down crayfish and waiting to ambush anything in that area. Another thing to consider for the fall is when to put away the Whopper Plopper. This issue is a good example for why you shouldn't base the Whopper Plopper on months, because if you're having a warm fall, but you've already put away your Whopper Plopper, you might miss out on some topwater action.
Pounced on that Whopper Plopper as soon as it hit.
As fall turns to winter, the Whopper Plopper is really only a tool for those warmer regions. When I lived in the southeast, I found the window to catch fish on topwater in the winter to be extremely small. In my experience, I try to avoid low light conditions and wait for warmer, nice sunnier days. Okay, we're in the home stretch and the final topic is weather conditions. One of the elements that you probably have a love-hate relationship with is rain. When it comes to rain, the Whopper Plopper can be a killer bait to use in these conditions. I found success with the Whopper Plopper in pre, during, and post rainstorms. Rain on the surface can cause fish to take notice and turn their attention upwards, which is what we want when we're using the Whopper Plopper. Now, the downside of this is depending on the intensity of the rain on the surface, you can be competing with the sound of the rain. So in these conditions that have heavy rain, I like to upsize my Whopper Plopper in these situations, and I'll even break out the 190. In addition to rainy situations, the Whopper Plopper is also a great lure for windy conditions. A lot of topwater lures do their best work in calm conditions like a spook, but the Whopper Plopper is just built different. It has a supernatural ability to maintain surface disturbance while also cutting through big waves. Also, you can cast it a mile, you can cast it into headwind or crosswinds, and it'll continue to create loud thunderous plops across the surface. On the other end of the spectrum is the absence of wind altogether. You might have heard anglers call this condition a slit calm or describe the water as a piece of glass because there's no waves or ripples on the surface. Now, there are a large number of anglers who don't like using the Whopper Plopper in these calm conditions because they fear fish are a little bit more skittish and might be turned off from louder, thundering plops from the Whopper Ploppers. So one thing that some anglers will do is they will switch or downsize to the 90 because the 90 offers a little bit more of a subtle sounding plop. Now, this is a popular trend, but I can't vouch for this perspective because I have not experienced any drastic issues in calm conditions. But if going quieter has proven to work for you in your situation, then keep giving the fish what they want. Okay, hopefully all of this information will bring you much more success. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button because the next episode we're going to cover water conditions and Whopper Plopper colors, so you don't want to miss out on that. As always, thanks for watching.